All right, welcome everybody. This is, it's about safeguarding your organization against cyber threats, all cyber threats, but particularly botnets and artificial intelligence. My name's Tom Kirkham. I am founder and CEO of Kirkham Iron Tech. And what you need to know about Kirkham Iron Tech is we are a company that's in a class of companies called a managed security service provider. That means we provide managed security services to organizations of all shapes and sizes, small ones to enterprise level. And that's our specialty. We also, you may be familiar with a managed service provider or an MSP. And those types of organizations, although they do some of the security stuff, not always do they make security job one. So, but they're all about managed IT services. So it's a slight distinction. And you just need to know that when you're looking for particularly security, but you need to know that as well, even if you've already got an MSP, and you need to understand, is security job one or is it optional, right? If they make recommendations for you to get certain products that we're going to talk about today, and you have the option of turning it down, then that's an indication that they're these better security systems, and I would argue non-negotiable security systems that we require. If they allow you to turn those down, then they may not be stressing or understand that Antivirus, for example, is not as effective as it used to be. Just a little about me, I know what I'm doing. I've done hundreds of these seminars and continuing education credit courses. Been doing this for almost 40 years now, and got a couple of books out on cyber pandemic. Both of them are available on Amazon, but it seems the most interesting thing about my bio is I am on an ISIS kill list. In 2015, the FBI visited me in my office to tell me that I am on an ISIS kill list. And you remember back then, there were a number of lists with a bunch of different people. All of them but one list were politicians, law enforcement, military type individuals, mostly New York Metro and Washington, D.C. Metro. But there was one list that was seemingly random. People all over the United States. And the FBI reached out to each and every one of us because we were not only named, but where we live, where we work, phone numbers, emails, other personal information. It was very detailed. And the reason I bring it up, and the reason it's relevant to you, is later research, after I got over the shock, later research, I discovered that the only reason I was on that list was pure random. It was a random hack. And you have to remember, one of their objectives of these kill lists was to create chaos and to tie up law enforcement. But they were also looking for lone wolves. People are in the U.S. citizens that they could recruit that were sympathetic to the cause of ISIS. And it just so happened that here in my hometown, there was a couple that was one of those, and they got arrested just before a serious attack occurred at one of the local shopping malls. So just keep in mind that it's not always about money. It's not always about hacktivism or activism. It's not about ideology, except that in this case it was, but it can be life and death. People have died from cyber attacks. So it's time to wake up and take it serious. So let's take a look at what's happened over the years. And since I've been in this industry a while, 1991, and I think it was March, I don't remember the exact date, but on Michelangelo's birthday, a virus that if you rebooted your computer on that day, on Michelangelo's birthday, it basically encrypted the hard drive or scrambled the hard drive, and all the data that was on it was lost. I actually thought we had nothing to worry about. I was in a software company, and we had nothing to worry about. We've got all the stuff in place. And lo and behold, I rebooted my computer just to prove it, and my disk got scrambled. And we changed our security practices. That's 1991. 2000 saw the ILOVEYOU virus. This virus the threat vector was via email, which is the majority of the threats threats to your organization. There's other ways to do it, but most of them come through email. And 2000 was when that first started. The storm worm was the first concept of bots, the very topic that we're talking about today. And this changed the game from a defensive perspective, that all of a sudden we have to worry about things all the way down to the network interface card, or the NIC. Your nerdy friends might have used that term before, the NIC. And I mean that in a nice way, because I consider myself a nerd. 2010 saw the launch of the Stuxnet virus. NSA created that. More on that in a moment. 17 was the biggest ransomware attack, the WannaCry, and it showed what happened when criminals distribute massive attacks worldwide. A couple of things about ransomware is, number one, ransomware has been around long before Bitcoin, 10 years or so before Bitcoin was even created. So don't think it's a problem with Bitcoin. In fact, all the criminals that get the Bitcoin, they convert it to US dollars to buy black market goods and services, including North Korea and Iran. Because of sanctions, they have to buy goods and services on the black market, and the black market only wants US dollars. Bitcoin can be traced. What makes it great for ransomware is it's instantaneous and it's global, and you don't have to go through intermediaries. But believe me, they convert it to US dollars. And 2020 is when we begin to see these artificial intelligence driven cyber attack, and that especially increased in January and February of last year. That's when they started using ChatGPT to do phishing emails, or spear phishing, targeted rifle shot emails at scale, automatically with bots. It's a big game changer. A couple of others I want to note here is the NSA, and it's interesting about the NSA. They did do the aforementioned Stuxnet virus. That's when the United States, Israel, and perhaps a couple of other of our allies created the Stuxnet virus to attack and destroy the centrifuges in Iran's nuclear enrichment facility. Okay. And that thing went undetected for months, maybe a year and a half. I can't remember the exact time frame, but it went undetected for quite some time. And it was very well designed virus. Not only did it spin the centrifuges up past their operational limits, but it also reported back to the control panel, to the engineers and the technicians, that everything was operating nominally, or normally, as they say. And it was also designed specifically to evade detection. The facility itself was air-gapped, so they didn't get it through the internet. And the NSA knew that this thing was so dangerous that they built fail-safes. In other words, they designed the virus specifically to only execute in that environment. There had to be certain types of industrial control systems in place. There had to be, they tied it to all sorts of intelligence gathered around the facility, because they understood that if this Stuxnet virus got out in the wild, it would be very, very dangerous. There would be fallout in all sorts of industrial control systems that are very commonly used in things other than nuclear enrichment centrifuges. I'm talking about industrial control systems that control water supplies, petroleum distribution. Just, I mean, literally millions of devices use these types of industrial control systems. And then the other breach happened to them. Our own NSA was breached, and their cyber warfare tools, including Stuxnet virus, and the source code to all of those weapons were stolen. And they've been on the dark web, which is where all the bad guys hang out, for a few years now, free of charge. So believe it or not, the Stuxnet virus is being used against us each and every single day for various con jobs, theft, and nation state infrastructure attacks. The very same virus that they went to great pains to build so it wouldn't get wild is in the wild. And since the source code is there, they can modify it as they see fit. The DoD and the U.S. government, I think this is still the largest attack. It was called the SolarWinds attack. And SolarWinds is an IT management